Hi, welcome to lesson 16. This is be, do, have, and parallel realities. This is kind of a newer concept for me. I really like the idea of parallel realities, and so we'll talk about that. But I will tell you, a couple years ago when I first discovered or read about the be, do, have concept, it really made a lot of sense to me. And it just was kind of one of those great epiphanies, and just created a deeper level of clarity for me. And I'm hoping that it will do the same thing for you. So, I love the dream idea. If you can dream it, you can be it. And that's a phrase we've heard most of our lives. And so when we're looking at parallel realities, this really becomes kind of an interesting concept in that statement that we've heard for a really, really, really long time. So let's go first of all with the be, do, have and look at it. We'll go in order here according to the worksheet. So we've been pretty much programmed our whole lives that I have to go to work really hard, and do a lot of things to make things happen. I have to put effort in. I have to do things. I have to be a human doing instead of a human being, right? I have to do, work, try, practice. Practice makes perfect. All of those things we grew up hearing. And then the idea is once I go and do all of this hard work, then I'm allowed or entitled to have all the things that I want, okay? So I don't get to have anything unless I do the things first. That's what we've been programmed. And when I have all of the things, then at that time, I should be happy. Think about the fallacy in that. I have to do in order to have so that I can be. Wow. Yeah. If we look at Lao Tzu, he says, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Okay? So if you are constantly believing that your happiness, that I can be happy over there, once I've done all of these things, then your happiness will always be over there. Okay? So, if we look at the law of attraction, it's the idea is, well, you're not allowed to be lazy. You got to be working to the bone, grinding, and frankly, that's not true. And how do we know that? Well, because there was no such thing as industry when this earth was created. There was no going to work. There was no working 80 hours a week in a law firm and not, neglecting your family. None of that stuff was existing when people first came to this planet. So the idea is that this universe, this planet was created based on attraction, and that you would vibrate, you would provide service. And again, that service could just be a smile to someone. And then the energy of that service would be returned to you. Then, of course, we created the money system and all of that. So, if you go back to the beginning of creation, none of this existed back then. And so it might help you understand. And this is not about selfishness. It's not about being lazy. It's about understanding who you are. And who you are is worthy. Okay, that's what this is all about. You are, by divine birthright, you are entitled to your desires by birthright. Okay, so it's not about doing. So let's look at the new paradigm. Let's look at the new idea. Flip the script here. So you have the ability to choose to be happy right now. And by choosing to be happy, the things that you do will feel good and align with love. And when you do things in alignment with love, the attraction will bring you all of the things that you want to, that you desire. And then you will have the life you desire. So it's not do, have, be. It's be, do, have. And when you look at it from that perspective, I can be happy right now. Okay? Because look at the two questions that we talked about. Can you be happy without your desires being met? Well, yes. What's the proof? Well, you've been happy. You have at some point in your life. You know, it's not the desires that will make you happy. You see? Because the challenge is that, again, programming on this planet, we think that if we have the things that we desire, that we will then be happy. And that's really backwards from the way that we were designed. You know, we were brought into this world. Our natural state is contentment, satisfaction, and above, okay? It's only when we get out of alignment that we experience the others. So if our natural state, then essentially we were born with everything that we need. We really don't need anything else. You know, food and water. And of course, there's some studies that suggest, you know, these monks live without it sometimes, but we won't get into that deep. For our practical purposes, you don't need things to be happy, okay? But here's the interesting thing, you know, it is the desire for those things is because we believe that having them will make us happy. And that is just a belief system. It is not the truth. Because look at people who have, you know, what was it Jim Carrey said? You know, I wish everybody could get everything that they want so then they could realize that that's not what's going to make them happy, right? And it's interesting. When you decide to be happy, no matter what, then you get inspired to do the things that you love and want to do. The things that you want to have actually will change. It'll change drastically because you'll see value in different things. So that's kind of that's really a cool concept and a cool idea about that. So the desire was not, you know, this is kind of interesting. If we look at why do we want the things, it's because we think that the things will make us happy. So in reality, we're really not desiring the things. We're actually desiring the happiness. And then the second question is, well, what's stopping us from being happy right now? You're the only thinker in your head. You're the only one in charge of your happiness. So what's stopping you from being happy? Just simply beliefs, wounds, decision to be happy. Nothing. Truthfully, nothing is actually stopping you from being happy. You have the right and the choice to be happy whenever you want to be. So when do you want to start? Okay, so now let's take that concept and move into parallel realities. And if you want to learn more about this, Aaron Doughty is really probably the best resource I've found. I'm sure there's others out there, but as far as the ones I've looked at, he's the best resource I've found so far that talks about parallel realities because he does it in a very low key. He doesn't use terminology that I don't understand. He talks in a way that I understand what he's saying. And so I really like that. I've heard some other speakers and I can kind of get what they're saying, but as far as, you know, the average person listening to that and understanding it, I don't feel it would be as well received as perhaps some of Aaron's messages. So I definitely recommend him if you want to learn more about parallel realities. It's kind of an interesting idea because, you know, of course, quantum physics backs it up. Quantum physics is not a study that I'm going to go in depth in. Just don't care, honestly. But I know enough to know a few things. And the idea is that there are different parallel realities that are existing because, you know, the basic concept is if you look back at your life, okay, and you see your evolvement and your development along the way, you know, what really changed? Did you actually change anything other than what you think? Really? You know, I mean, that's really, it's not like, you know, you didn't really change a whole lot of things other than how you think. And that's what brought about the change. Like, even if somebody, you know, was making major changes in their physical life, you know, they went from 300 pounds down to 150, they didn't really change because of the diet and the exercise. They changed because of their thought process about the diet and exercise. And as a product of the thoughts changing, the diet and exercise and all of the thoughts then changed the physical body. So all of the change that we create actually happens up here. Okay, it doesn't happen in lifting weights, because if you don't get this right, you'll lift the weights for 2 minutes and then stop. And even if you do, I mean, we see people all the time who are constantly going to the gym, constantly working out, constantly talking about what they're eating, and yet they make little to no progress in their actual physical transformation of their body. I'm a prime suspect, because it's about changing what's going on up here. It's not about what you're doing in the gym or in the kitchen. You've got to start here. Those things obviously will help, but it's got to start here. Okay, so the parallel reality concept is, if you have dreamed a certain life for yourself, a version of you in that life exists in a different reality, in a parallel universe, in a parallel reality. Okay, so it's just about aligning to that particular person. Because if you look back at how some of the things you used to do, you know, though that old you was just attracting and living in that particular reality. This version of you is living and attracting in this reality. That perceived better version of you is living in that particular reality. It already exists. You just have to align to it. I know it's a big concept, but just go with me on it. Okay? And so in order to allow yourself to attract, because remember, this is not about doing to get there. This is about that reality already exists. We just need to attract it to us. Okay? The potential for that life that you dream of already exists. We just need to attract it to us. So you have to ask just one question. What does that version of me in that dream life think or believe, do? Remember, your actions always stem from your beliefs. And say. Now we're practicing the attitude of gratitude. Okay? What does that version of you in that life think, do, and say? And what is stopping you from thinking, doing, and saying those same things now? Okay? So let's say, for example, that it's your dream to live on the ocean. What would be some things that you would think, do, and say as a person who lives on the ocean? Would you wake up every day and go look at the ocean? So can you do that now? Yes. Even if you live in the middle of the country, you could wake up every morning and turn on the internet and look at the ocean, right? Because that's something, you know, I live a half a mile from the ocean, and it is one of my dreams to live on the ocean. And so if I really wanted to get into alignment with that version of me who lives on the ocean, every single morning I can get up and drive over or walk over or bike over to the ocean and look at the ocean. Because as a person who lives on the ocean, I would look at it every single day. And so the more I get into the habit of thinking, doing, and saying what that version of me does, I'm going to raise my vibration to attract those things to me. I'm going to attract that life closer to me. Okay? If you want to be a marathon runner, what does a marathon runner think, do, and say? You know, would a marathon runner wake up in the morning and go, oh, it's too cold? No, they would wake up and be grateful for the fact that they can go out and go for a run. Or if it is technically too cold and there's literally ice on the road, they would go down or find a treadmill and go for a run on the treadmill. or they would do something that was in alignment with what a marathon runner would do. So what are you waiting for? You know, figure out, that's your exercise 16, what does your dream life look like? And what are some things that you could do right now that version of you every day would think, do, or say? You know, would the rich version of you worry about their checking account every day? Nope. So what would the rich version of you do? They would be grateful for what's in their checking account. Okay? They might, you know, that version might look at it every day and smile and see bigger numbers than you physically see right now. But could you look at your checking account every day and choose to be grateful for what you do have instead of be missing what you don't have? You see? Because that rich version of you is not going to look at the account and miss what they don't have. So when do you want to get into alignment of that version of you? When do you want to start? I say start today. So really get into this exercise and have some fun with it and make a list. What does that person look like? And how can you emulate, how can you embody the feeling state, the emotional state, and the action state of that version of you right now? It is amazing how quickly you can attract this life to you. 1 year. That's not a long time. You could truly have the life you want in 12 months. Just start embodying the life that you dream of. Start being that person now. And don't believe in the limitations. There are no limitations. You can think, do, and act like that person does right now. So let's get started. I look forward to hearing about your examples in our group.